Hi, everybody. This is Miss Snook, and today I'm going to be talking to you about your POL, which stands for Presentation of Learning. Why are you doing this? You have been working so far on a big project during your summer school time at Changemaker High School, and it's time to celebrate. It's also time to prove the work that you have done to an audience for them to give you feedback so that you can move forward on your project and you can ask questions and they can ask questions that may help solidify in your brain what you're trying to do. This is all for good, and you're going to do just fine with a little bit of practice and feedback from me and from a panel that you will be presenting to. So, what is a presentation of learning and how are you going to do it? So, one of the basic things that you need to remember is to use your 5 W's and your 1 H, the who, what, when, where, why, and how. If you cover all those bases, you know that you've done the basics of how you can present your work to your audience. You also want to include visuals, any photographs or artifacts that you've created, surveys, images, drawings. If you have a model that you've developed that you would like to present, this is the time to do that. And you have to practice your storytelling skills because there is a story that goes along with your learning. It's not just a part 1, part 2, part 3. You want to tell it in a story type way of speaking. You're going to be discussing your project with a panel of experts. And for your first practice POL, the experts are going to be people you already know, people you've been working with all summer so far. They're going to be asking you questions and you're going to be answering, and it's going to be a conversation. Be prepared to say, I don't know, but I will try and find out the answer, because they may ask you a question that you don't know the answer to, and it's okay to not know. So I'm going to give you an example of a POL that I am going to model for you regarding the bridge project that you've either heard a lot about or have actually been to at Changemaker High School work out on Belvedere Avenue. I want you to pay attention to the time limit, how fast I speak, what I say, how I'm prepared, and how I tackle the 5 W's and 1 H in my story. This isn't a complete POL because there are some pieces that would take an entire hour to explain, if not more, but it is a good example of how you can present. Please feel free to use this example with your own project and the way that I'm modeling it, or come up with your own. You are the expert of your project and your work, and it is up to you. So let's get into this. This is Alejandra. Alejandra was a student in my class, in my service learning class, and she was tasked with a project that was to be completed within a month. The project was to think of a problem that exists in the community and how you could do something about that problem to make a difference. And this was to show students and young people in the classroom that you can make a difference in an hour, you can make a difference in a day, or it may take a long time for you to make a difference. But as long as you're working towards a goal and you have a solution in mind, you can make a difference. So this was the why of what Alejandra came up with. The problem she was trying to address was just getting to school when it rains. As you can see in the image, there is a lot of water. This water exists on Belvedere Avenue. Many of you have walked up and down Belvedere Avenue and have seen this dip in the road. Well, this dip floods when it rains. So Alejandra's concern about was her safety and the accessibility for people to get across this area of water safely and without getting wet. So she decided she wanted to build a bridge. Her solution to the problem was, I need to get to school over this water, and I'd like to design a bridge. This is an actual image of the bridge she wanted to build. And she noticed that she would have to make it water resistant and heat resistant since it was made out of wood. And she also noted that this area of the bridge would not allow a wheelchair to get over safely. And she took all of that into account into her initial thought process. Now, this is where it got fun. Here is where Alejandra wanted to build the bridge. And if you've ever been down Belvedere Avenue, you know that this is Swan Wash and this is Belvedere Avenue. And this is that part of the road where you saw a lot of water. And what Alejandra wanted to do was to build a bridge that just went over this area of the wash so that people could walk across the water safely and stay dry. This is where the project was going to be installed. Well, Alejandra knew that she couldn't do this by herself and she had to form a team. Her idea was so inviting and so exciting that these 3 other students, including Alilene, which many of you know, joined the team. And from this point forward, which started in 2014, it took about 3 years for them to complete their project. It took a lot of teamwork, a lot of information and research finding, fact finding, working with experts in the community, because as you saw in the picture, that was public land that bridge was going to be built on. This was not in somebody's backyard. So this took several years, and when the original project was supposed to be done, it was supposed to be completed in 30 days. It was supposed to be a month-long project, or could be completed in 1 day within that 30-day period. This is not how it happened, but Alejandra did not give up, and the other bridge girls did not give up. They stuck to their idea. They wanted to solve this problem. The problem was not going to go away, and they had to figure out how they were going to do it. This is where the story gets really complicated as far as how they went about doing this, but I'm going to skip over that part and show you the final result. So this is the final result of the bridge. And as you can see, it looks similar to the design that Alejandra had initially picked out that was going to be made out of wood. But after many, many meetings with the government agencies that had to be involved in installing this bridge, this was the final design, and it was installed in November of 2017. And you can see that when it rained, this offered a clearance area for people to walk across the wash safely. As you may have thought of in your learning or in your experience at Changemaker, we don't just stop there. We always think, well, what was causing the problem to begin with? And we go back a step. And that led to the big project that many of you have worked on, and some of you have never had a chance to work on yet, but you will in the Swan Park. And that was to stop this water from even getting to the street in the first place, or at least minimize the amount of water that was going into the street. So that project was another phase of the bridge project, and you will have an opportunity to work on that throughout your time at Changemaker High School. So what now? You've heard my story. I covered the W's and the H's and the critical reason for why this project mattered. It is now your turn. Think about what you are working on and why it is important to the community at Changemaker High School, the community of Naylor neighborhood, and Greater Tucson and the world. Think about the past, think about the future, and think about what you are doing right now. You're going to prepare and practice with your group today, and you'll have some time tomorrow before I hop online to hear your presentations. All I'm going to do is take some notes, revise any visuals that you might have that might have a grammar mistake or a punctuation mistake, because I like it to look good for when you do present it to the real panel that will be taking place on June 30th. And on June 30th, the panel will be made of experts in the community who want to work with us and can give us advice on what you have picked to do. So I wish you good luck. Have fun. practice with each other, be casual, and I will see you tomorrow.